Om. 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 Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trilokyam Sancharacharam Tat Padam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidyadravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. Om Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So we're in our 11th chapter. What verse are we on, Mark?
18.
Verse 18, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Will you help us out, please? Before we get directly into it, so let's review what's the basic theme of this chapter. So what we've been working on is this second section of Gita. Scholars, some of them divided into three sections of 6 chapters each, corresponding to the 3 sections of Tatvamasi. You are that. The first 6 chapters is Tvam, you. Tell us about what a human being is. The second 6 chapters is Tat, the infinite. So in the last chapter, we had a discourse on what we call Vishayananda, experiencing the bliss of the self through the objects. I use the term the theology of aesthetics. When we have these transcendental experiences, great music, great art, great beauty in nature, the splendor, that it stops my mind and I get a kiss of the bliss of Brahma. In the 11th chapter, here what Krishna is saying is all this is nothing but consciousness. Not just the good stuff, all of it. The entire cosmos is in consciousness. And there are enormous repercussions to this. Most importantly, to understand that consciousness never leaves its swabhava, its inherent nature. What is the nature of consciousness? Satchidananda. It is. It shines a sentience. And it's inherently blissful. If I don't feel the bliss, it is because of my imagination. I superimpose on the world of name and form, which is mithya, fundamentally illusory. Good, bad, right and wrong, just and unjust, desirable and aversive. So my job is to see the self in and through all the phenomena of the world. My favorite mantra from Chandogya. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. All this is verily Brahman. Right where the trouble seems to be, there God is. All right, going on. Oh, and what's happened now in our story? Arjuna says, I would like to see you in your divine glories. See you as the manifest universe, as your divine expression, body. So Krishna taps him on the head and he has this vision of everything being in Krishna. And he's overwhelmed. You can tell that because the meter changes. Going on.
त्वमक्षरं परमं वेदितव्यं त्वमस्य विश्वस्य परं निधानम् त्वमव्ययः शाश्वतधर्मगुप्ता सनातनस्त्वं पुरुषो मतो मे. You are the imperishable, the supreme being, worthy to be known. You are the great treasure house of this universe. You are the imperishable protector of the eternal Dharma. In my opinion, you are the ancient Purusha.
Yes. So the term Purusha used in Gita is borrowed from the Sankhya philosophy. It also comes from one of the oldest hymns in the Rig Veda, the Purusha Sutkam, the hymn to the eternal person. You are that ancient, eternal, beloved spirit, the ultimate essence of being, of personness. So the idea is Krishna is not a statue, a murti. Krishna is not just a historical figure from Dwarka. Krishna is not a god who's blue with four arms. The cosmic Krishna is another name for consciousness. Any thoughts on this? Going on.
अनादिमध्यान्तमनन्तवीर्यम् अनन्तबाहुं शशिसूर्यनेत्रम् पश्यामि त्वां दीप्तहुताशवक्त्रम् स्वतेजसा विश्वमिदं तपन्तम्. I see you without beginning, middle, or end, infinite in power, of endless arms, the sun and moon being your eyes, the burning fire your mouth, heating the whole universe with your radiance.
So let's parse this. So the first idea,
I see you without beginning, middle, or end.
yes. So not only is consciousness itself nityam, eternal, meaning always in the now. the eternal subject. But this phenomenal world is Sanatanam Purana, ancient. And it's interesting because astrophysics is beginning to catch up to the Vedas, who posit a circular view of time, not a linear one. Linear means Big Bang had a beginning, there's going to be an end, a big freeze. But the Vedas say, oh no, it's a circle. It has no beginning or end. Constantly changing. I saw a video on YouTube. Again, I have no idea about this stuff. But this physicist was positing that the entire cosmos exists inside a black hole in another universe. And that universe exists inside of a black hole inside another universe. Universes within universes within universes. In the ISKCON tradition, the Hare Krishnas, they posit that there's a multiplicity of worlds. Could be so. What I know for sure, wondrous, awesome, mysterious. Now, one of the things that it helps to contemplate the infinitude of the phenomenal universe is it gives us some humility. We're just a little speck in the long flow of time. That doesn't mean who and what we are as individuals isn't important. There's never been a human being just like you right here, right now, in this particular flow of the universe. Maybe in another yuga or kalpa, but right now, you're unique. It's like a snowflake. Every snowflake is unique, even though they're all made of water. We're all just consciousness. But from the standpoint of manifestation, each one of us has this wonderful uniqueness in the now. Why is this important? You can't try to be someone else. I'm sorry, they're taken. You can only do you. So the yogi wants to give up comparison, competition, all that kind of stuff. As Polonius says in Hamlet, and this above all, to thine own self be true. Not only to be true to yourself as Brahman, but be true to your own swadharma, your own way of being in the world, your own swarup. There's no other you, the level of the individual. And that's precious because it's nothing else but God. And God doesn't make junk. Next idea.
Sorry. Turning the page for some. Infinite in power.
Yes. So there is the primordial Maya Shakti by which the whole cosmos comes about. In Yoga Vasishta, we answer 3 questions. Who am I? What is this world? And how has it come about? Who am I? Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. What is this world? Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, it's all consciousness. Well, how do the names and forms come about? Sankalpena, by means of imagination. And in the Hebrew scriptures, it says that we human beings are made in the image and likeness of God. It does not mean God looks like a human form with arms and legs, etc. The swarup of the infinite is to bring about all this sankalpena by means of imagination. You and I as individuals, to a limited degree, reenact the creative process of the infinite. This is the real essence of Tantra. One way to frame it is there are some yogis who see all of this like a dream and they just stand back and watch the movie. But the Tantrikas say, yes, it's all like a dream, but it doesn't have to be a nightmare. And by means of Sankalpa, which, if you're in a tantric tradition, you invoke through ritual. You can make this a little bit better place. All of this is nothing but Brahman, and it comes about by this infinite power of imagination. Now, if you close your eyes for a moment, visualize a little single pea on a plate. Now visualize an enormous range of the Himalayan mountains. Did it take you more effort or energy to visualize a mountain range than a pea? No. There's no limit to your power to imagine. And it's not about efforting, it's about knowing. Next idea.
Of endless arm.
So, this of endless arms and legs and mouths and stomachs and eyes, all this means is every being, gross or subtle, be it a physical being, be it a celestial being, all of them. The one who's doing the knowing through them is Krishna. Later on, he'll use the terms kshetra, kshetranya cha. The field, kshetra, it's like a battlefield, and kshetranya, the knower of the field. Who is the knower of the field in all fields? What we know is different. Thoughts and feelings are different. but the awareness that illumines everything is one. Going on. Next idea.
The sun and the moon being your eyes,
The same idea.
the burning fire your mouth, heating the whole universe with your radiance.
So, consciousness, Krishna, is the life principle that enlivens everything. Just like the lamp, the fan, and the radio are inherently inert, jada. Electricity enlivens them, heats them up, makes them do their thing. So, your vasanas, your potentiality for thought, feeling, and action is enlivened by this Brahman contact. A life principle in everything. Makes the snake do their snake thing, makes the tree do its tree thing, makes each one of us do our swadharma. Going on.
Dhyava prithivyo ri- Dhyava prithivyo ritamantaram hi Yaktam tvayekena dishascha sarva Drishta Drishtva adbhutam rupamukram tavedam Lokatrayam pravyathitam mahatman. This space between the earth and the heavens and all the waters is filled by you alone. Having seen this, your wonderful and terrible form, the three worlds are trembling with fear, O great souled being.
Yes. So consciousness pervades even space. Now, again, this becomes easier to understand if we go to the dream state. I always like to say, you are the God of your dream. And in the dream, the things in the dream come about by means of mini Maya. So if I dream I'm on a horse riding through a field, and off in the distance is a forest, the space between me on the horse and the forest is still all inside my mind. My mind pervades space in a dream. So also, nothing in this world is outside of Chidakasha, the space of pure awareness. All of it is Brahman. That first idea pervades the space. What's the next idea?
Having seen this, your wonderful and terrible form, the three worlds are trembling with fear, O great souled being.
Yes. So awe might be a better word than fear. Any being who begins to get a glimpse of the infinitude of the mind, of the divine, it just overwhelms the mind. Now, in some of us who are not spiritually prepared for the divine vision, it can be scary. Practically speaking, many people, as they're going deep in meditation, and they're beginning to see the unreality reality of the individual and the voidness of the world of name and form. They get afraid. The mind comes and grips back. This is why frequently it helps to be prepared with what we call the paroksha jnana, the indirect knowledge. So as the world disappears, we're not frightened by it. We're not frightened by it. Who's had fear arise in a meditation? That you're losing yourself? Anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just ego's reaction to the perception of its own demise. But such is the power of the mind. I saw a wonderful video this past week. This fellow had these rugs that were optical illusions. They were always some form of like a deep swirling hole or a bunch of steps down to a hole, the way they'd been put on the rugs. And what's interesting, the dogs were frightened. They wouldn't step on the rugs. Cats, somehow their perception's different. They just walked across it. No fear at all. But that's you and me. When we get the sense of the dissolution of ego, we're frightened. The yogi is like the pussycat, dives deep. Going on.
Amihi tvam surasangha vishanti kechid pita pranjalayo gunanti swastityuktva maharshi siddha sangha stuvasti tvam stutibhi pushkalabhi. Verily, into you enter these hosts of devas. Some extol you in fear with joined palms. May it be well. Thus saying, bands of great rishis and siddhas praise you with hymns sublime.
Yes. So the first part of this verse brings back again the inevitable truth of the world of form. All names and forms on every level, without exception, are temporary. And I jokingly will say things like, nobody gets out of this world alive. All relationships end in death or divorce. But there are also ones that aren't quite so grim. If you're in a difficult mind state, you really don't need to do anything except just be patient. It cannot last. All mind states pass. That's the great value of going on a long meditation retreat. Whatever comes up, one of the things you see is its impermanence. But something there is that is permanent. It is illumined by awareness. Always. So everything comes to an end. And what's the second part of the verse?
Sorry. May it be well. Thus saying, bands of great rishis and siddhas praise you with hymns of life.
Yes. So it is the essence of everything that's holy or sacred in every tradition. These bands of rishis, these celestial beings, be they Indian gods and goddesses, Indian holy people, Christian saints, Muslim saints, Buddhas, all of them. What is it that they worship in the sacred? It's the same. God as you understand God. It's just wearing a mask. Behind them all is the infinite, which is avyapadesham, indescribable in the end. Going on.
Rudraditya vasavo ye cha sadhya Vishveshvino maratashvoshmapascha Gandharva yaksha surasiddha sangha Ikshante tvam vismitashteva sarve. The Rudras, Adityas, Vasus, Sadhyas, Vishwadevas, the two Ashwins, Maruts, Ushmapas, and hosts of Gandharvas, Yakshas, Asuras, and Siddhas, they are all looking at you, all quite astonished.
Yes. So again, this not only has these beneficent beings, but the asuras, even the non-beneficent beings, all of them are astonished. So when a mind gets absorbed into the infinite, it stupefies the mind. Last week, I was reading some Teresa of Avila about her 4 stages of prayer and her metaphor of the watering of a garden. Sometimes you got to work really hard with a bucket to water it, and then you build a channel and you water it, and then a river just does it kind of naturally, and then there's the rain coming where you don't have to do anything. She talks about that 4th stage of prayer. It's a wonderful description of samadhi, where the senses quit functioning. The faculties of the soul just stop. That infinite taste of bliss. All of the faculties, gross and subtle, are astonished. They stop in that deepest moment of prayer, of contemplation, samadhi, whatever word you want to use. Going on.
It's two together.
Then do 2 together.
Rupam mahatte bahuvaktra netram mahabaho bahubahurupadam bahudaram bahudamshtrakaranam Drishtva loka pravyathitastasthaham nabhasprasham deeptamanekavarnam vyatananam deeptavishalanetram Drishtva hi tvam pravyathitantaratma dhritim na vindami kshamam cha Vishnu. Having seen your immeasurable form with many mouths and eyes, O mighty armed, with many arms, thighs, and feet, with many stomachs, and fearsome with many tusks. The worlds are terrified, and so am I, on seeing you with your form touching the sky, flaming in many colors, with mouths wide open, with large fiery eyes. I am terrified at heart, and I find neither courage nor peace, O Vishnu.
Yes. So many of us, when the mind starts to thin, technical term is tanu manasaha, thinness of mind. The world itself starts to thin out. Or you tune up the mind, the thinner the world becomes. It's like a transparency. Feel like you could stick your hand right through it all. We see that the names and forms are mithya, illusion, vaitatya, false, shunyata, void of any inherent value. It can bring a huge sense of loss. It can bring fear. More than once, I've seen a student just burst into tears because everything in this world that you've ever thought was important, valuable, is seen for what it is. Just like a mirage. Well, that's a mind state of thinness of mind. When the mind starts to return, the world starts to appear more concrete again. And if you start to really worry about the world, focus in on things, oh man, does it get real for us? Thinning of the mind and the disappearing of the mind, the world thins and disappears. But for the unprepared mind, there's enormous grief or fear. For the prepared mind, there's enormous joy. Going on.
Damshrakaralani cha te mukhani, dushtvaeva kalanalasanibhani, disho na jane na labhe sharma, prasida devesha jagannivasa. Having seen your mouths fearsome with tusks, blazing like pralaya fires, I know not the four quarters, nor do I find peace. Be gracious, O Lord of the Devas, O abode of the universe.
So, with this flaming mouth, and what does Krishna say? I am all devouring time. what Arjuna has seen is the fundamental unreality of everything. Everything is dissolved into consciousness. This flaming mouth is a metaphor. It's mystic symbolism. And here Arjuna is not yet ready to dive deep into the non-dual experience. I want to come back and be a person and have, my girlfriend, my money, my enemies. It's too scary to see everything dissolve into consciousness. Going on.
Ami च त्वां धृतराष्ट्रस्य पुत्रा सर्वे सहैवावनिपालसङ्घैः भीष्मो द्रोणासूतपुत्रस्तथासौ सहास्मदीयैरपि योधमुख्यैः वक्त्राणि ते त्वरमाणा विशन्ति दंष्ट्राकरालानि भयानकानि केचित् विलग्ना दशनान्तरेषु सन्दृश्यन्ते चूर्णितैरुत्तमाङ्गैः. All the sons of Dhritarashtra, with hosts of kings of the earth, Bhishma, Drona, and the son of a charioteer, Karna, with the warrior chieftains of ours, into your mouth with terrible teeth and fearful to behold, they precipitately enter. Some are found sticking in the gaps between the teeth with their heads crushed into pulp.
So again, mystic symbolism. So the opposing army, the sons of Dhritarashtra, and Bhishma and Drona and Karna, all the bad guys, they're wiped out. But his army as well. That means there's a big slaughter in the war? Not necessarily. So in the Christian scripture, there's a very famous story that Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead. The poor guy had to die a second time. The import here, no one stays in the body forever. Had a student who had read this book about the yogis in the Himalayas who doing tapas can live 400 years. And he wanted this. And my response is, well, what happens at year 401? You're dead. If you go to the end of Piedmont Avenue, there all the graveyards are. Anybody ever been to the cemeteries up there at the end?
Yeah.
It's quite beautiful and quite peaceful. But closer to, where Pleasant Valley is, when you just crossed, all the newer graves. And there are people there and they're saying goodbye to their loved ones. And the graves are attended and there's flowers on them. You go further up and you see these big monuments of like the Crockers and things like that, and then, but if you keep going to the other side of the hill, there are all the 19th century graves. The headstones are all tilted to the side. And there's weeds and grass growing everywhere. These are the forgotten. No one remembers. Or just looking to your own family. Who here has parents who are still alive? Grandparents still alive? Great-grandparents still alive? Do you even know the names of your great-grandparents? What about your great-great-grandparents? What were they like? Where did they live? What were their lives like? That's just 4 generations. Gone. Less than 100 years. Now, if you're the Queen of England, you've got histories about all your ancestors and all their portraits are up on Windsor Castle walls. But for most of us, no. No memory. Or even if you do keep the names alive in a family, they're just names. People are forgotten so quickly. It's the way of the world. There's nothing wrong with that. But looking to your life and my life, one of the things Swamiji used to say that I love, graveyards are filled with indispensable people. If we suffer from the stupidity, I'm an indispensable person, my company can't get along without me, my family can't get along without me. It's just vanity. Doesn't mean you're not important because you're a child of God. But your time here is so short. And in the grand scheme of things, our contributions are minimal. What should we do with this? Stay in the now. Do good. Be good. Do our best to treat everyone we meet as Krishna. It's the best we can do. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
यथा नदीनां बहवोऽम्बुवेगाः समुद्रमेवाभिमुखा द्रवन्ति तथा तवामी नरलोकवीरा विशन्ति वक्त्राण्यभिविज्वलन्ति. Verily, as many torrents of rivers flow through the oceans, so these heroes in the world of men enter your flaming mouth.
So the idea, beautiful metaphor, each one of us is like a river. And where are we all going in the end? Home to the Daya Sindhu, the great ocean of compassion, of mercy, that is the infinite. Death is not to be feared. Nobody fails a dying. Death is not a tragedy. If I have attachment, then it's my loss that's the tragedy for me. but for the person who's died. They're going on to the great river of life. There's a poem, and I can't remember who wrote it. I can't remember the verses in meter. But the idea is we're standing on the shore and we see a sailing boat leave the dock and head out to sea. And then finally it drops over the horizon and it's gone from our sight. But on the opposite shore, they see on the horizon a boat appears and then arrives at the new harbor. Some of our friends pass away, relatives, and other friends of ours have new babies. Ships arriving, the great cycle of life. Why grieve over the inevitable, as Krishna says in the second chapter? Going on.
यथा प्रदीप्तं ज्वलनं पतङ्गा विशन्ति नाशाय समुद्रवेगाः तथैव नाशाय विशन्ति लोकाः स्तवापि वक्त्राणि समुद्रवेगाः. As Arjuna says, as moths rush hurriedly into a blazing fire for their own destruction, so also these creatures hastily rush into your mouths of destruction.
Yes. So we've all seen outside on a patio moths gather around electric lights. You have to imagine in ancient times when light was always a flame, moths would do the same things. They would be attracted to the light and then they would immolate themselves in the fire. So that's what you and I as individuals are doing. We're rushing headlong towards death. In Vivekachudamani, Shankar talks about the Annamaya Kosha. You probably know this. Daniel, what's the Annamaya Kosha?
I don't remember the koshas.
Food she. Annam means cooked rice in Sanskrit. Why do we call it the food she? Because I will tell you what the dharma of your body is. You will consume a mountain of food in this life and produce a mountain of food. And in the end, you will be food for worms. That is the body. You are a food tube. Munch, 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 munch. What it does. Going on.
लेलीयसे ग्रसमानः समन्तात् लोकान् समग्रान् जलद्भिः तेजोभिरापूर्य जगत्समग्रम् भासस्तवोग्रा प्रतपन्ति विष्णु. Devouring all worlds on every side with your flaming mouths, you are licking in enjoyment. Your fierce rays, filling the whole world with radiance, are burning, O Vishnu.
Yes. So just like this metaphor says, at the center of our galaxy is a supermassive black hole, devouring worlds. So also time devours everything. Now, this is not a teaching to make us despondent or nihilistic. It's a teaching to encourage us to cherish the now. Let me give you an example. So, Amini, how old is Abhiman now? She's still there?
Well, yeah, she's died down, but I don't know if she's listening.
I think well, any baby. If you've ever been around 1-year-olds or 2-year-olds, they're so adorable. But it lasts for such a short time. They grow so quickly. They grow so quickly. Friendships, lovers, cherish them. And if you have people in your life, friends or family members, I think of people who say, oh, I'm not speaking to so and so. What a foolish notion. Because they will not be here very long. Make peace with people. Reconcile for your own peace of mind. Because things pass so quickly, so quickly. Going on.
आख्यायि मे को भवानुग्ररूपो नमोऽस्तु ते देववर प्रसीद विज्ञातुमिच्छामि भवन्तमाद्यं न हि प्रजानापि तव प्रवृत्तिम्. Tell me who you are, so fierce in form. Salutations to you, O God Supreme, have mercy. I desire to know you, the original being. I know not, indeed, your purpose.
So all of us want to know, why is the universe meaningless? Is it all just a cosmic clock that ends in nothing? Tell me who you are. What is behind it all? And more importantly, for you and me, am I here for a purpose? Is there meaning to my life? Or is it all just vanity and nihilism? Why care for anything? Because it's all going to go. Is that all there is? Let's see what happens. Going on.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha Kalosmi Lokakshaya Krit Pravritho Lokan Samahartumiha Pravritta Rite Pitvam Na Bhavishyanti Sarve Yevasthita Pratyanikeshu Yodha. The Blessed Lord said, I am the mighty, world-destroying time, now engaged in destroying the worlds. Even without you, none of the warriors arrayed in hostile armies shall live.
So here he sums up. I am all devouring time. And so he says to Arjuna, even without you, if you got hit by uh, an arrow at the very beginning of the battle, all these warriors still will die. So the practice that's implied, cherish the now with the deep insight of how incredibly temporary it is. And for the challenges of life, don't worry, they will pass. Yeah, true story. So we're going back to the 1980s. And my roommate at the time, his name was Perry, had lost his job and he'd broken up a relationship, and he wasn't feeling really well, and he was really quite depressed. And then he got a blood test and yada yada yada, find out he was diagnosed with AIDS. This was 1986. In those days, there was no treatment. There was AZT, which may or may not have worked. And usually from diagnosis to death was no more than 2.5 years, depending on how soon in the process you were diagnosed. What was fascinating is what changed in him. He quit putting off his life. He knew he had a limited time frame. So he went on the cruise that he'd never done. He finally got some furniture in the living room refurnished that he'd always wanted to do. He finally did the concert. We were both singers that he always wanted to do. He did all these things, and he was interviewed by this periodical about artists who had AIDS. And he said that this incredible aliveness that he was experiencing was just absolutely transformational. He wasn't a particularly spiritual guy, overtly. And he said, if my choices were not to learn this and live a long life, or learn this and have a short life, I'd pick the latter, because he finally lived life for the first time, at least in a long, long time. And it's a great teaching for all of us. Live with death on your left shoulder. This is not a rehearsal. This is your life. Spend yourself in love. Just shake it all out. Don't hold back. And to sit home reviewing your miseries, regretting, is such a waste of a life. And yoga invites us to live this life fully with detachment, but fully engaged. So you get to figure this out for yourself. Are you postponing your life? As I tell you, it's very short, much shorter than you think. Going on.
तस्मात् त्वमुत्तिष्ठ यशो लभस्व चित्वा शत्रुन् भुङ्क्ष्व राज्यं समृद्धम् मयैवैते निहता पूर्वमेव निमित्तमात्रं भव सव्यसाचिन् द्रोणं च भीष्मं च जयद्रथं च कर्णं तथान्यापि योधवीरान् मया हतांस्त्वं जहिमा व्यथिष्टा युद्धस्य चेतासि रणे सपत्नान्. Therefore, stand up and obtain fame. Conquer the enemies and enjoy the flourishing kingdom. Verily, by myself, they have already been slain. Be you a mere instrument, O left-handed archer. Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna, and other brave warriors. Those have already been slain by me. You do kill. Be not stressed with fear. Fight, and you shall conquer your enemies in battle.
So this is the summation of the teaching here. Krishna says, stand up and fight, meaning for you and me, live your life. Be fearless. Take the risks. Live according to your passion in the highest sense. Understand there is a difference between vairagya and aragya. The root is raga, passion. Aragya means no feelings, being shut down, pressed down, depressed. That is not the teaching of yoga. Vairagya. The root is the prefix is V, a superlative. Take your passions to the highest level. Live your life fully. The successes and failures have already been written. Without attachment, without identification, without worry or concern. Any thoughts on this? Remember way back in the end of the first chapter, beginning of the second chapter, what Arjuna wanted to do is withdraw from the battlefield, go off to the forest and meditate. But that wasn't his swadharma, that wasn't his vocation, his mission, his calling. There are those of us who are called to a life of renunciates. That's our idea of a good time. But for most of us, we have relationships, we have careers, we want purpose in our life. I want to do something that's meaningful to me. Doesn't have to be meaningful to the next person, just meaningful to me. And what Krishna is saying is, go for it. Without fear. Don't hold back. Because the results, Krishna already has ordained them. Any thoughts on this? All right, this is a very good place to stop tonight. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om.